Hey, this is Jamie, back at with another comic review. This time I am doing a Dark Horse comic, Cuphead, Comic Capers, and Curios, Volume 1. And it is actually written by Zach Keller, and Sean Dickinson does the art, letters, and cover. And colors are done by Christina Liu. And I will put in the credits more of the contributors because I think everybody should get their due. But anyway, this is a collection of short stories inspired by the Cuphead video game. If you haven't played the Cuphead video game, it is really fun. It is one of the hardest games I remember playing in the past. I don't know. It was really hard. But the game is pretty much a run and gun. You face a lot of bosses and fight a lot of different things out to kill you. But and it's inspired by the old like 20s, 30s, maybe old Disney era cartoons, as well as some Looney Tunes and some stuff. And well, anyway, diving into the book, the first story is called Cuphead and Mugman and Graveyard Gauntlet, and this is a good story. It's a nice story where Cuphead is Mugman are waken up by some ghosts partying, and they just join the party. And I think it's one of those simple stories where they just have fun, and it's it's a nice story. I like that story. I don't think it was the best story in the book, but it was fun. It really set the mood for what we were in for. So I give that a 7 out of 10. The second story was actually called Mugman and Promenade Predicament, and Mugman is reading a story while he wanders in the way of various other bosses. Bosses we're familiar with if you play the game, Baroness von Bonbon. Notice how Mugman effortlessly beats her, and she was so hard in the game. We also see that clown, I forgot his name, um, hard, just beats him like effortlessly. Not even trying because he's walking through their lane reading their book and they just dump it on themselves. Sally's stage play is shown here. She's not too much of a jerk. I In the game they all had their reasons for fighting against Cuphead, mainly because they were out to get the contract to. They were out doing the devil's bidding, trying to get their contract, trying to collect the contract from them on behalf of the devil, so that their souls wouldn't be reaped from them. Well, anyway, uh, so that all happens, and that's a good story. Give that a. I actually like this story better than give that a 7 too. The next one is called The Whole Gang and Alpine Atrocity. We have Cuphead, Mugman, and Elder Kettle, as well as Miss Chalice. Miss Chalice is an upcoming playable character in the new DLC, Delicious Last Course. And we see, I believe, a character that was from the teaser of the DLC, and they're skiing on him. And this was a nice story. I wasn't as good. We see we see Werner Werman, the German mouse, inspired by Jerry, who's a boss in the third area, speaking German. That was pretty fun, and I think it was a fun story. I give that one a 6 out of 10. We see a little short telling everybody to combat boredom by venturing outside, which is a good idea. I mean, you don't have to be around people to go outside. Just get some air, vitamin D. Anyway, the Ship Shenanigans is the next story featuring Captain Brinybeard, a boss in the third Inkwell Isles area. And I'm surprised at how much of not he's not really that much of a jerk. He looks like Bluto, and from Popeye, he looks a lot like Bluto, and he's just wants some treasure and wants the Cuphead and Mugman to help him get treasure. It doesn't work out that way. It was actually pretty funny. One thing I do note that in the game, and as well as the comic, his ship was a sentient creature, a sentient being, and his ship is like dies in this book. I guess it's one of those stories without continuity, kind of like the old Looney Tunes, but still, dang, his ship goes sink. His ship sinks. Our next story is Cuphead and Scrapyard Scrap. We're featuring Cuphead battling Dr. Call and his robot. Dr. Call and his robot was, in my opinion, the hardest boss of the game. So, say so. The funniest is the end. Well, and then we see another sketch of them going to. Yeah, this is definitely taking place during the 20s because it looks like Prohibition is around, and a lot, uh, Cuphead, Mugman, and a lot of the other bosses or characters, not bosses. I don't recognize any of the bosses. Baroness von Bonbon and one of the police bees from the that works for that queen bee girl, third boss. Uh, they're in this little short, but it was a short. That's not much of a story. I guess I could stop rating them. I'll just save the rating for the end. The Elder Cattle and Tips. That's a fun short. And then the Cuphead and Elder Cattle star in a short story called Lights, Camera, and Adversaries, where they go to the movies and the Root Pack, the first boss, one of the first bosses in the first area, easiest boss fight in the game, just start trouble. They're blocking the view, and Cuphead says something about it, and they just throw him in the celluloid. Can't the inside the celluloid in the projection room, and he he kind of changes the course of the movie, much to the dismay of the moviegoers. And the interesting thing about this story was seeing how much the Root Pack, like the when I saw the Root Pack in the game, the only person that struck me as a jerk was the carrot, but not the onion. They're all jerks in this story. It's surprising because a lot of the people in the game were just doing what they had to do to defend themselves. But yeah, a lot of them are just jerks. Well, anyway, there's a Moon short featuring Miss Chalice. It was weird. Trouble tunes. This story is actually probably the best story in the book. Is this one features King Dice and a bunch of his goons, as well as a lot of the bosses in the game, including the Genie, Cagney Carnation, that's the Sunflower, Ribby and Croaks, and Miss Chalice, that Siren Mermaid, and King Dice himself. Now, King Dice is one of the big bads, the second to main big bad in the game, first big bad being the devil, and this was actually a really, really good treat for me. It's ended up being my favorite story, but yeah, it comes with a message that's saying, "Don't gamble your life away. Leave the cards with the sharks." And I think that's a pretty good message, in my opinion. And then another short, and then there's Sally stage play short. Oh, there's a short featuring Cuphead, and one of the things I think is disgusting is that he is a big fan of fish sandwiches. Not cooked fish sandwiches. Looks like he's eating a raw fish. That's disgusting. Well, anyway, Sally stage play ends up firing her cast and doing the whole play by herself and becoming big. And that's a nice short. It's a funny short. It's Sally's stage play. Definitely not a nice person as he played in the game, but I think she thought she would be nicer to her crew. But her crew thinks she's a diva, but she does work hard, acts her butt off for stardom. And then we get a drawing lesson for how to draw the devil, who doesn't really show up really in this comic. Well, anyway, and then there's another story featuring the genie boss, where they're in the desert and they stumble upon the genie boss, and he grants each grants them a wish, and he thinks their wishes are dumb and embarrassing, but he has to grant them anyway. I think another thing that's bothering me is Cuphead really likes his fish sandwiches with the raw fish. Even the genie mentions that his breath is very bad. Well, that's well, guess Cuphead likes it. Anyway, the next one is Arcade Atrocity, and Cuphead causes a lot of mischief for that dragon boss, who Porks, that pig guy, Werner Werman again, the Barbara Quartet from the second Inkwell Isle, and as well some other NPCs in the game. They're actually not happy with him, and that is all for the comic book. And this is a very very good read. I just went over the overview, but even my review doesn't do any justice. I would actually give this comic an 8 out of 10. There's not a lot you can ask of it, but it does deliver. It reminds me a lot of the Casper comic I've read that were of the old Casper cartoons. That Little Red Devil and Wendy the Witch, Casper. That I had a lot of fun with those, and this reminds me so much of that, and so much of the old cartoons, more so. And I think I give this an 8 out of 10, which I already said that, but um, definitely highly recommend it. It's a Dark Horse comic, not a DC comic. I'm used to reviewing DC comics, but had to step out, even though this is like my fifth video. And but I thank you guys, and comment, like, and subscribe for more reviews. Hopefully, I can venture out of reviews sometime. Not abandon reviews, but do something besides reviews, like maybe covering some news. And but for now, I'm doing reviews because I really love these comics. See you, Jamie out.